Boom. All right, dudes and dudettes. So this is going to be the start of the video. I wanted to let you guys know something. So we had done this whole video with the little Rode mic that we have here, and this connects to a lapel that connects to my shirt, but I can also use it as a microphone just like I am right now. So we had everything done. We had the footage done yesterday. I was trying to edit the day before that too. Things were just with the shows, and then, once I'm gone for the shows for a couple of days, there's a lot of work to be done on the property. So I, got to make sure that my animals are good. That's first and foremost. And then trying to spend some time with the family and trying to get things edited. So I was doing a lot of work the last couple of days, exhausted, but we're getting this video out today. And this morning I come out, I figured I'd do it first. So I go and I try and tear my audio off of the Rode mic. What I didn't know is that while this little bugger is plugged into my computer, it's on. Now, generally it needs this little piece as well that's connected to my phone. That's the transponder that's putting the audio from the video into this and then signals it to that. So from what I understood, I could plug that into the computer and this could stay and charge. But what ended up happening is this only holds 7 hours of footage. So this morning when I get on there and I'm looking for my audio, I keep scrolling through about 7 hours of footage and I notice that there's little bumps here and there, but I don't see any real audio coming in. So I'm listening to the small amount of audio that has come in over the last 7 hours, and I'm seeing that it's recorded at 4:38, 8:38, all this stuff in very early morning hours. At first, I thought it was just telling me when I put it on the computer, but what it was telling me was basically that this mic, even though the transponder wasn't on, was recording every bit of sound for the last 24 to however many hours this thing has been on. So it has erased all of the audio that I had for part of this video. So for some of this video, unfortunately enough, you're gonna have the crappy audio just from the phone, and then for some of it, you're gonna have the good audio from this mic when we do the voiceover, when we go out there and catch Blackie at Ben's property. But I hope you guys enjoy the video regardless. Love you guys to death. Just wanted to give you fair warning. It's gonna bounce back and forth as far as the audio goes. Much apologies. Now remember, for next time, don't leave your mic plugged in because it picks up everything and records it over and over and over again, constantly erasing what you had before. Note to self, leave the mics unplugged. All right, boom, let's get into it. Dude, hey, psst, dude, what do you got on your feet, bro? On your feet?
I have lots of different animals.
Dude, hey. Big guy, come here, come, dude, come.
Excuse the mess, people.
I gotta do something, go lay down. Go, hey, no, don't do your shoes there. Your bird's gonna be upset. Hey, bird. Give me one. Good job. That's what I'm talking about. All right, now that everybody's over there comfortable doing their thing, quiet down, dude. And we're probably gonna hear kids upstairs, thanks to the audio that we have now, so you can hear everything, including the barking, the hoos of the owl, and everything else. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me shut this window. You guys made short work of that. Good, I can have a clean window for all of 37 seconds before you guys destroy that. All right, so to be honest, I'm not sure how this video is gonna fall. I gotta wait till I edit it, but I do have a surprise, and then also we've gotten a lot of help over the last week. Well, we get a lot of help from them all the time. From Gatorama, that is Ben. If you guys don't know Ben, you can see his Facebook at Ben Register, and he posts stuff all day long, every single day. He's got a large following on Facebook, so if you want to join him, I'm going to put all these links in the description as well. And then there's Patty, his mother, and his dad, Alan, that run Gatorama, which is about 40 minutes north of where I'm at. And they help with a lot of things. They have a couple of my alligators that they have taken to place permanently. They also have one of my old ladies over there, Blackie, or affectionately known as Grandma at this point in time, and they hold on to her for me with Grandpa in that pit. And then if I need to, I can go and grab her for the educational programs that we do. And they also gave me this very special thing right here that I'm gonna bring out in just a second to show you guys what they did for me as far as some more educational stuff. So it's friends helping friends, which is how this industry should be. We should all be helping each other. I try and help them out as much as I possibly can, vice versa. They help me out as much as I can. So I'm gonna put everything in the description. So along with the Patreon, thank you guys very much for joining. We've had a lot of new members pop up there. But we appreciate everything you guys do. If you are interested in the Patreon, that's going to be linked in the description. My Facebook will be linked in the description. There's going to be Gatorama.com. That's their website if you want to check them out and go visit their place. And then we're going to put up Gatorama and Crocodile Adventures as the Facebook page for the business, and then Ben's Facebook page as well. I'll get as many hyperlinks as I can down in the description, so be sure to check that out. But I have a bunch of stuff here in front of me. As a matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to post up a little video of two special kids that sent me a couple of videos in the last couple of weeks, and I've been talking to their pops for a long time now, but the kids have been watching for a long time. That's something super important. We just got done doing all these shows this weekend, and then prior to that on Monday we had shows, and we have a bunch more shows coming up with the Seminole Tribe of Florida, as well as a bunch of shows in between. So business is starting to pick up, which is, thankfully, that's a good thing for us. So with that said, the most important thing we do is always with the children. The children are the most important part, because at some point we're gonna get too old. Somebody has to continue to carry the torch and do what it is that we do to keep passing on this education and keep protecting the wildlife that we have around us, as well as the habitats and surrounding areas. Best way to do that is the kids. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy going to special events and doing things for adults as well, all the way up to college students. Even like when we train the rangers over at Gatorama, we try and do as much work as we possibly can in the community, and it really doesn't matter the age, but the kids are especially important because, like I said, eventually we get too old to do this, somebody has to follow. So I'm gonna be sending these two little kids who are wonderful. Let me post them up right now.
Hi, my name's Ryder, and I really like to watch your shows, and I want you to send a video back with your alligator. Hi, my name is Georgie, and I like to watch your videos.
Look how cute that is. The cutest little munchkins that you could possibly ever imagine. So we're gonna be sending them a gator tooth. I want you guys to take a look at what we have right here. One doesn't belong. We're gonna slide this guy right out to the side. That's actually the cap of a tiger claw. We'll talk about that at some other point in time. But I always have gator teeth, and a lot of people think that, you know, the gator teeth are big, huge, giant things, and they are technically what you're seeing here, but I'm gonna show you a couple of different things. So right here, before we get into the animal side, and when I said in the beginning too, I'm gonna Quentin Tarantino this one. When I said in the beginning that I'm not sure where this is gonna go, is because Gatorama did not only help me out with this, they helped me grab Grandma out of the enclosure, which was not an easy task, and we pulled her out so that I can do those educational programs. So I always get help from them that way, and they also had done something very special for me inside this box right here. So I'm not sure if this is gonna go up first or us removing Blackie is gonna go up first. We'll see how it plays when I put everything together on the computer. But here is a regular tooth from an alligator, and that is gonna be your largest tooth that hangs out. The alligators have a predominant overbite, so when the mouth is shut, you're gonna see all the teeth pretty much from the top. These are the two largest teeth that come down from the side. Obviously, you can see there's still a little bit of meat on that, so that one was broken off, probably fighting another alligator or biting onto something hard and shaking it around. That's why they lose so many teeth. But if you look at this tooth, it looks ginormous, right? This is actually a much smaller tooth than this guy right here. So what you're gonna see out of this is right here is gonna be sticking out of mouth. So you got about 3/4 of an inch right there, and it's very dull too. They're not very sharp as far as the alligator teeth go. So when they're small, very, very pointy little needles in those mouths. When they get bigger, it's a dull set of teeth that they have, but that doesn't make any bit of difference with the amazing jaw pressure that these guys have. It wouldn't matter if there was no teeth in there, they're still doing a lot of damage. That's when they lose a lot of teeth, sometimes alligators will fight, crocodiles will fight, and they'll be missing the bottom teeth and the top teeth all in the front section. Doesn't bother them at all. Another one's gonna slide in the same exact location, but even without those teeth, they can eat just fine. They grab a deer, they grab a hog, a turtle, whatever it may be, they're still gonna be able to crush it, they're still gonna be able to thrash it, they're still gonna be able to tear it apart and swallow it. Now, take a look at these guys. Big, huge teeth, right? Not necessarily. These guys are the roots. So the root goes all the way up. So when you find an alligator has passed away, generally this is why you'll find these huge teeth where people will put on their necklaces. For me, it's a little bit much. That's a lot hanging off the neck there. It's a lot of weight. But if you look, this is the actual tooth. So that would be what you would see coming out of the alligator's mouth. So this is going to be probably one of the back teeth, way in the back of the mouth. So that's the only part that comes out. It looks huge, but realistically, the actual tooth that you're gonna see is gonna be just that little bit right there. So that, compared to this, and this was from a 12-foot alligator on the back row of his teeth, and this was from about an 8.5-foot alligator right in the front. So you can see the size difference right there. You can also see the difference in the shape and structure of the teeth. The farther back they go, they're a little bit more dome shaped like that, and you get a wider tooth with a wider base, and it's also shorter. They're built like that because it's almost like if you take a look at an alligator or a crocodile's mouth, they're built to basically hold on to everything. So they got the big teeth and the small teeth, so it's pretty much latching you in, almost like a barb of a hook. It's gonna keep you trapped. Now, if we look at this special guy right here, this is a full tooth out of not the biggest part of a crocodile's tooth, but this is out of an Orinoco crocodile. This is the cap. This is what we call a cap of a tooth. So oftentimes we'll find teeth when we clean pits, when we clean out cages, enclosures, we'll find teeth that are naturally shedded. That is a naturally shedded tooth. It hasn't been broken like this one off of something else's back or anything like that, and it hasn't come out of the entire skull. It's the cap that falls off. So eventually the teeth will go bad and those guys will fall off just from the closing pressure. Maybe they're popping their jaws, maybe when they're eating they pop those jaws and a cap just falls off. Eventually it's going to come out. That's why they cycle through so many teeth in a lifetime. You're talking about 3,000-4,000 teeth for alligators or crocodiles. So if you look at this, the Orinoco crocodile, it's very pointy, very sharp. Even as an adult, it is very sharp. It is a nasty bite to get from any crocodile and or caiman. As a matter of fact, I think I actually have a caiman bite. The most gnarliest ones are gonna be your alligators, or your caiman and your crocodiles. So the caiman, this is again another root there, so you're gonna be seeing this much of the tooth. But the caiman's tooth, look at that, it's a snaggly mess. The crocodile is a little bit more perfect in shape.
There you go.
And a lot of people think they're fake. And the reason they think they're fake is if you look at this real close, I don't know if you'll be able to get it on camera.
Hold on, let me try. Okay.
So when I spin it, you're gonna see these little edges where it looks like it's literally pressed. Looks like somebody made it out of a mold. So you have these little lines on the side and these little lines in the front of the teeth. And you see that in all of these. So it looks like somebody made it out of plastic, folded the mold together, put it together, and there's a little piece of plastic left over on it. That's actually a real tooth. That's how they look. So that's definitely gonna help to cut through some things, especially for the duller teeth, but these guys don't really need that as much, but they all have it, and it's just a little bit extra there to puncture through whatever they're getting through. All the crocodilians have that. So caiman tooth, crocodile tooth, and then the alligator tooth. So you can see the difference in the shape, the sizes, and the sharpness of those teeth. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so as I'm not sure how this episode is gonna play out because, like I said, we have removing Blackie, and then we have this guy right here. So, boom. Okay, so we're gonna have some better, oh my goodness, can't even speak right off the rip. We're gonna have better audio on this portion of the little clip that we have here. This was a 45-minute clip that I had to break down because a lot of it is just us trying to get in the right positions, and then also once I locate Blackie in her den, after I found her, it's basically a lot of me sitting and trying to work out what position I wanna be in and where she's at, and finding the jaws, the feet, the legs, so I can know exactly where she's at and exactly what my points of danger are and everything else. Now Ben here is watching Grandpa, and he was also filming, so some of you guys might have seen this live, but you can go back and look at it, I'm sure, if you want to hear the commentary between us. We joke around a lot, but we're also paying close attention to everything. So he's got Grandpa lined up.
He's coming your way.
He's coming my way.
Grandpa.
I'll let this play out here.
Nice, I think stop him with his stick.
Watch this.
Grandpa, come here.
So Grandpa slows down there and then he does a small charge. Now, even though he's an older alligator, he is gigantic. So being that he is so big, he can overpower me with no problems whatsoever. But it's reading the animal basically, and I've been doing this forever and a day. So again, don't recommend anybody doing the things that I do here. So I got Blackie in one hand and then I'm controlling Grandpa with the other. So I backed him off gently, just letting him know, hey, I'm just doing my thing here, you do your thing. And then eventually he loses interest and goes back to his daddy over there, Ben. So Ben's going to have him go back to point and have him go to his mark and sit there and wait patiently while we do our thing. Now I'm deep inside the den. You can see underneath my buddy's butt right there, those little weird looking things coming out of the ground. Those are the cypress heads. Or the cypress knees, I apologize. So basically, this is a naturalistic enclosure, about as natural as you could possibly get. Here comes Dan in the mix to help out, so he's going to grab a hold of that tail while I try and find her face. And then we're going to go from there, and I'll explain it as we go. But this is a naturalistic enclosure, so it's got sable palms, you got your ferns, you got your papyrus, and then you have your cypress. And then if you look under my buddy with the orange shirt's butt, you see those cypress knees. Those go all the way down to the floor. Dan's going for Grandpa now. He came back towards us, so Dan's on point with that because I still have Blackie, and by this time I think I had located her face. So I didn't want to let her face go because obviously that's the most dangerous part of the alligator right there. So I'm inside, and I wanted to let this play out so you guys can hear the teamwork that we have going on, but it's hard to do the voiceover and bounce back and forth as we go, so I'll explain it. So we're talking back and forth the entire time, and even though we may be making jokes as we're doing this, we're very serious because anybody in this situation could get seriously injured, and we don't want that. So I've located Blackie's face. I have her around the jaws, but I still can't pull her out. We have to clear away some roots, and then you're going to see here in a minute, we're going to have to do some digging. So I call for tape. Now, the tape that we use is basically vet wrap. It's what you would use if your animal got a laceration or any injury that you wanted to wrap up, and that's what we're using because underneath the water I can get it, and it's wide enough where I can put my thumb around one side of her mouth and start wrapping it around because there's not a lot of room in there. She's buried in the cypress roots. So I have her by the face. Ben opens it up for me. We got all the boys watching. So I say Ben. I always do that. Sorry, Dan. I love you, buddy. So Dan opened up that roll for me. I am now taping her mouth shut with that vet wrap underneath the water so that at least we have the security of knowing that if she blasts out, she's not going to be able to open those jaws. Now, Blackie is a sweet alligator, but she still is an alligator. And especially in a position like this where we're taking her out of her den, she's not very happy about it. She's got all the brakes on, so her feet are literally locked into the ground, and she's pressing her body up into the cypress roots, which makes it extremely difficult to pull that alligator out. Even at her size, at about 8.5 feet, 9 feet, she is way more powerful than all of us in the enclosure combined. So when you think about that, no matter what we do, if we just wanted to yank her out of there, it's not going to happen. We would need like a heavy piece of machinery to pull her out, but then we could possibly injure the alligator. So we go for the more, I would say, gentle approach in doing this. So in a second here, you're going to see that tape pop back up. I took my time doing this. Obviously, I can't see anything that I'm doing. She's under the water, and I don't want to stick a finger inside of her mouth so that I can keep the rest of my fingers. I appreciate them. And then the vet wrap goes out. Now, we have Dan here. I said it right that time. There you go, Dan. And Dan's going to dig out all the way underneath her. So we're basically digging out more of a hole so that she sinks a little bit more just underneath those roots. We've already broken apart the roots, which took about 10 to 15 minutes, and that's a lot of what this video was just breaking apart roots. And then you can't see the alligator. It's very murky. We've stirred up the water. The water's very clear, but when you have us walking around in there, the mud does tend to kick up. So that duckweed filters out the water. That's the green stuff on top. It's not algae, it's duckweed, little tiny plants. And that filters the water. But when we're walking around in there, of course, we're kicking up silt, we're kicking up mud, and now we have finally gotten in a position where we can get her out. So I put a lariat around her front legs, right behind her front legs, and it's just a little extra so that we're not just pulling on her face and we're not just pulling on her tail. Then we have a big secure rope right around her chest area, so it's a little less pressure on any specific point of the alligator. That way we're not, stretching any bones or doing anything like that. Not that I think that we could really do any damage, us as people trying to pull them out, unless it was heavy machinery, but you always want to try and be as safe as possible for the animals, regardless of whatever situation you're in. So we're tucked up under there deep. We're tucked under there deep under the den. I'm going to say that. That's what I meant to say. And Dan's got the back end. I have the front end. And then we got our big boy over there with the lariat around the chest area. And at this point, we're finally able to free her from her area. So we're going around, and then we're going to the outside of the enclosure. And you're going to see that here in just a second. So we go up the little steep ramp, and then we're bringing her out, and you're going to hear in just a minute that I was super tired. It was about 45 minutes worth of work, not easy work, and I am soaking wet at this point, which I promised myself I wasn't going to be. Boom.
Sit on that thing. Vertically.
Woo! All right. Let's never do that again.
Oh,
You did so good.
We got new grandpa now.
She's a big chunky girl. All right.
What do we think?
Off to the house. Boom. Boom. All right, guys. So that was the catch of Blackie, and then she's already been returned home by this point. I'm just editing the rest of this video. So the next part you're about to see is going to be what Gatorama had done as far as what was in that box. So let's find out what was in that box. The first part of the video seems a little bit grainy, but I promise it clears up. Unfortunately enough, this is the last part of the video where you're going to get the quality sound from the mics because of what happened earlier on, well, I guess for the last 24 hours that it's been recording ominous footage throughout the house. So enjoy the rest of the clip, ladies and gentlemen. Boom. We'll see you in a second. So I had asked Ben and family. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it more than you guys will ever know. I had asked if they had any crocodiles available because I needed more crocodiles for the educational programs that we do. I'm very picky and choosy about what I bring out to certain shows and what I bring out to certain areas, events, especially depending on how long we're going to be there. How long is it going to take? Is it an hour-long show? Or are we doing a full weekend presentation? If it's a full weekend, I like to have more than one animal. That way every single day I can switch them out so not one animal gets overstressed because they can die from stress. So you have to be careful. So what they did was they said, well, we'll give you a loan, which is actually perfect for me. So they were kind enough to loan this animal to me. So it still belongs to Gatorama. It still belongs to Ben family. So Patty, Alan, and Ben still own this little guy right here, and it is an American crocodile. One of the species that I've always wanted my entire life, but I've never been able to get my hands on. I mean, I have, but the times that I have been able to get my hands on it, things just didn't work out. I didn't have the space for it. We were moving, this, that, and the other. We always had something going on. Oh, here comes the owl. Hey, leave the tree alone. What?
I knew he was going to go for the sunset. Hey. No, he's going to ruin my tree, Jay.
Hey. Well, it's not my tree. Big guy. Big guy.
Don't
Maybe,
go. Okay.
Yeah. She's not, Mama. It's not, where are you running from? He's like, he's gonna eat you?
Oh, he went up this. Wait, he is.
Let's just see what we got going on here. What are you doing, bud? Go back with your dog. You want your kiddo? You want the kid? Give me one. Good. All right, now get lost. Go this way. Go.
Come on.
Go. Go on, you butt munch. No, don't, because... What do you want? You want to go up there? Go on. You go there. Go back with your dog over there. Yeah. Poo. Poo. It's more like I'm cleaning up your poo all day long. All right, back to the American crocodile here. So we do, I say we, but Gatorama was kind enough to loan this guy to me, which works out for both of us because they have a bunch of these guys. They're actually probably the largest population of American crocs that we have here in the States, and they breed more than I think anybody else in a captive situation. So they're doing a very good job as far as these guys, because here in Florida, these guys are in very low numbers. Now I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this crocodile here in a minute, but as I'm thanking the family, I just wanna let you guys know it works out for both of us. Why? Because I only have 3 and change as far as acreage goes around here. I have my class 1 permits. I'll always have my class 1 permits, but for the crocodiles, I can only have them until they're 4 feet long. Once they're 4 feet long, they have to go to a 5-acre property. So I get to be able to use this animal for educational purposes. He gets to educate as many people as we possibly can for the next year or so. And then when he gets too big, he'll go back home to Gatorama. At that time, he or she will be coming to age, basically. So within a couple of years after that, this one will be, of breeding age, and it'll go into the breeding population. So I feed him, I take care of him. If he needs any vet checks or anything like that, I'll take care of that as well for the duration that I have him. Once he is grown to 4 feet, he goes back to Gatorama where he belongs, and then we get plenty of education. The animal gets well cared for, takes a little bit off their plate, and then I'll be able to trade this one out and hopefully get another one next season about this size as well. So it's a constantly flowing circle of friends helping friends. So they always have populations of the Americans, and I always have something to use for the educational value, because no matter what, the crocodiles that I have are gonna have to go somewhere anyway. So they might as well go back where they came from. So thank you, Gatorama, much appreciated as always. And again, guys, go check them out, check Ben out. They do a lot of good stuff, especially if you're out in the LaBelle, Palmdale, or Sebring area, even down to Clewiston, or even Fort Lauderdale. They're out there on 27, easy to find. Crazy out here today. Easy to find, but definitely go check them out for a good, fun day. You could spend a full day there easy. All right, now let's talk about this guy a little bit. So this is a true American crocodile. Now, the American crocodile is not only found here in Florida, but we are the only place in the world that has both the alligator and the crocodile. We talked about this, I think, in my alligator episode, but if you wanted to tell the difference between the two, it's very easy. The crocodile has a V-shaped pointed snout, the alligator a rounded snout with a predominant overbite. If you look at this crocodile, as an adult, it would be easier to see, but the teeth come from the top and the bottom. So as opposed to the alligator, where the teeth are gonna be coming from the top, and usually just the front section there is gonna be seen on the top. The rest of them are gonna be buried inside the jaw, the bottom jaw. There's little divots that the teeth fit into. So the American crocodile here, this guy is about, I wanna say it's a year and a half, I think maybe 2 years old. I'd have to ask Ben to get the exact date on that, but they'll grow just like the alligators, about a foot a year every year until they hit that 6 foot mark. When they're sexually mature, that growth rate slows down tremendously. Then it takes a little bit longer for them to grow every single year, but they will grow every single year for the rest of their life. Now, here's something interesting that I just learned myself. Remember, I tell you guys all the time, I'm constantly learning, constantly picking up information. So we were out at the Seminoles, we were doing the shows this last weekend, and my buddy Lewis put me in contact with our buddy Mike Lorette. Mike Lorette works with Joe Wazlewski, and he works with FP&L. They go down there to Turkey Point, and they do the surveys for all the American crocodiles that we have here in the States. So they're the ones that are out there actually putting the work, boots on the ground, doing the field research, collecting those babies, counting how many they have, trying to get the numbers up year after year after year. And you got Frank Mazzotti with the Croc Docs, all of the Croc Doc people that work on that project as well. And then you have Joe Wazlewski, like I said, and a bunch of other people that actually will go in and help as well. But Mike Lorette was explaining something that was pretty interesting, because it's something that I didn't know before. One thing I did know is that we have a couple of true saltwater crocodiles. Obviously, the one in Australia named the saltwater crocodile, that's what it's called. So, obviously it is what it is, the saltwater crocodile. This one is the acutus, so it's the American crocodile, but it is a true saltwater crocodile, meaning that it can go long distances in salt water. This guy, at the bottom of his mouth, which I don't think he's gonna open, he's actually a pretty sweet boy once you get him up, and I haven't really been able to get him to open his mouth at all. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
I wanted to show you guys, but hospital with this guy? No hospital with this guy. I'm not going to force your mouth open. But so at the bottom of his mouth, a gator's got a tongue, and it's connected there so he doesn't swallow it. This guy has the lack of a tongue, but right about here, if you were to look inside the mouth, you see this little orangish spot, and then there's little dots all over the top of that. Those are salt glands, and that's so he can excrete salt in the area that he lives in. So if he eats fish that are salty, he's going to be able to excrete that salt. He eats salty foods, he's going to be able to excrete that salt. It also helps him with the water that they live in. These guys like nice, quiet beaches. We used to find American crocodiles all the way even up to Sarasota. They're not as cold tolerant as our alligators are, so they don't go as far north. But we as a population of people have basically overbuilt habitat destruction. We like to build on the coastline. So there's nice beaches, but not very many quiet ones. So we, as a population of people, have basically forced these guys to the southern tip of Florida. That is the largest population that you're going to find here in Florida. However, the numbers have been coming up. And lately we've been seeing a lot on the news, which is kind of frustrating in a way, because they'll put it out on the news, people get scared of crocodiles. You shouldn't be afraid of these guys. We haven't had really many accidents in the last 30, 40 years. I think there's been like 2 accidents, and I won't call them attacks because usually it's provoked by said person. These guys are shy animals and they tend not to bother anybody. So you really have to be in a messed up position or doing something wrong to be able to get attacked by one of these guys. Attacked, I say that very, very loosely. We see them. There was one in Pompano Beach. One made it all the way up to Satellite Beach, which is past Cocoa Beach, which is like 5 hours north from like the Broward area. So about 6.5 hours north from their biggest population. So they're starting to make a comeback. We're starting to see more, and I would love to see an American crocodile in my backyard. These guys all out here in Florida, they complain because there's an alligator, a crocodile, a raccoon, a small lizard. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's an animal, they want it out, which I think is ridiculous because they're super important to the ecosystem. But what Mike Lorette taught me was something very interesting. These guys are true saltwater crocodiles, so that's why we find them in Jamaica. We also find them in South America. They can make long treks in the ocean, no problem, but not as babies. They are not born with the salt glands. This is what Mike was teaching me the other day. So the salt glands actually develop over time. So as babies, these guys hatch out a month or 2 before the alligator season comes. And there's a reason for that. It's because of the rain time. So they're gonna get, when the rains are hitting the most, that's when these crocodiles are hatching out. And there's 2 reasons for that. Number 1, these guys are, most oftentimes, the largest population is gonna be Turkey Point. It's the power plant over there. It keeps the water warm all year long. So there's that. And then I think Mike said he had about 10,000 acres that he surveys. So they'll make their little ponds and stuff that does have some salt water on the bottom, but once it rains and starts filling and filling and filling, then you have a freshwater pond. So when the babies are born and the babies hatch, they actually start out in fresh water. They need to drink the fresh water. They don't have the salt glands to excrete the salt. So they can be born inside brackish water areas, but usually when those babies are born, if there's a lot of rain during the season, the babies will do just fine. Why? Because there is a sheen on top of the water that's going to be all fresh water. So those babies are going to stick to the top of the water. They're going to be getting fresh water. However, if we have a year where there's a big drought, moms are still going to lay eggs, babies are still going to hatch, and what ends up happening is there's no sheen on the top of that water, and those babies do not survive because what happens is they're in the salt water, they cannot excrete the salt, so then we have problems with those babies making it. So pretty interesting stuff. So even I learn every single day, but you have to keep an open mind to do that. A lot of times I see in the animal world, sometimes you have people that have very open minds, sometimes you have people that learn for a very short amount of time or a very long time, but once they learn whatever they learn from one specific person or from one specific place or from one single page online, which I was going to bring something up from my Facebook, but I'm not going to, there's no point. But they'll learn one thing or research one thing, read one paper or 5 lines in a paper and not even read the study, and that's as far as their brains want to take them. They want to shut it down. That's the answer they want. That's the answer they got. So they don't deep dive into the research, or they'll spend time with this person and then somebody else says something different to teach them, hey, maybe that's a little bit off, maybe that's wrong, or we found new information, here's new studies, and then they want to shut their brains down and basically say, listen, I learned what I learned, so I know what I know, and I already know it, so I don't need to learn anymore. That's why I always say that if you think you know everything, you've lost the ability to learn. That's how I was taught. That's the way that I keep my mind open. I'm constantly learning from everybody at all times. I didn't know that. I thought they were born with the saw glands. So even me, for as long as I've been doing this, especially with alligators and crocodiles, I always thought these cute little guys were born with those saw glands. And if it wasn't for those guys teaching me, and if it wasn't for me having an open mind, because I could have shut that down right away and been like, yeah, whatever, I do my show the way that I do my show, you do your stuff the way that you do your stuff. But that benefits nobody. But what did benefit me is I got to talk to somebody who knows a whole bunch more than I do about these American crocodiles, and I get to get this solid inside information, and I get to take that and now educate other people, not only on YouTube, but when I go to my shows, I'll be able to talk to people about that in my shows. A lot of my stuff is geared towards the Florida native wildlife that we have here. That's why it was such an amazing honor that Gatorama has bestowed this little guy upon me for the time that they did. And again, it still belongs to them, but I'm still gonna love him like he's my own over here and treat you just like you're my little buddy. And then when he's big enough, we'll bring him back to Gatorama and I'll be able to see him grow for his entire life, or her entire life. We'll find that out soon enough. But pretty interesting stuff. And then that's the way that I think that this community should roll on. We should all be helping each other. We should all be moving forward together. We should all be willing to learn from one another, whether it's somebody that's been doing it for a month or somebody that's been doing it for 20 years. There could be information from any single person individually to share with everybody around, and we could all come together as a community, build that community, and learn from one another instead of all the bashing and stuff that we do. So the back and forth that I have between Gatorama, or the back and forth that I have between the boys out there on the YouTube and the people in the industry over here, like Mike Lorette, Joe Wozlewski, Savannah Bowen, what are their names? Joe Lewis, you got Troy Lilly up there, Lewis Carver, I'm gonna destroy his last name, Carabajo. So, and all these amazing people, and even outside of the industry, when you get into the hobby, and some of these people that do it just for the love of it, and not as an industry practice where, you know, that's how they're getting their paycheck, that's how they're feeding their family. It's just something they love to do, which we all do, but some we do it on different levels than others. But if we can open our minds and open our hearts and stop bashing one another, we can all come together and learn a lot more. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my little buddy here. And then Ben says his name is Croc, which is perfect for me because you guys know how I name my stuff. Right, Bird? Ah, big guy? Yeah?
Where is he?
He's right there, behind the wall.
Don't let him out. Don't let him out.
Where's he? Go out. You can walk out. Mama, go ahead. So unless he's in the look. He can stare at a wall and look a window, he's good to go. All right, so back to it. Like I said, thank you guys for joining on the channel. We appreciate everybody that supports. Again, if you want to check out the Patreon, hop into the description. If you want to check out anything from Gatorama, hop in the description, drop some comments below. Let me know if you think Croc is a good name. It doesn't matter because I would have named him the same thing. Right, Bird? Yeah, he said yeah. But that's how we do it over here. So thank you, Gatorama. We love you, little Croc man. You've already educated so many people in just a couple of days that you've been here. And now I'm gonna go put you back with your little buddies. And then soon we'll have videos of everything else coming up. Because business is picking up, I'll be able to do a lot more as far as getting some builds out a little bit faster, getting more materials, and then really getting into the reptile room, which is the part that I really want to get into. It's the part that I'm dying to get into. And I think we're going to be able to do that by the end of the month. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We might have a live coming up here in the next day or so. I think I'm going to do a live on Facebook at some point too, just to give it a shot. But I'll keep everybody posted. But I love you guys. Thank you guys for joining. Kids, Manny, thank you guys very much. And we are done. Boom.